Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, assalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah wa alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Jazakumullah khair for people who come for the class today. So this is the new day, the new era with the quarantine 0 plus 0 and 0 plus 3, right? From 4, 3 plus 4 to 0 plus 3, and inshallah will be 0 plus 0. Inshallah will be zero altogether. Inshallah, Amin ya Rabbil Alamin. We thank Allah tonight. We meet again for another series. Last time, which series did we do, Brother Mufid? I remember was last time was the top hadith narrator, right? The top 5 hadith narrators. So today, what was that? It was probably like 3 months, 2 months ago or something. Yeah. So today we start with another series with the 4 Imams of Islamic law, which is the Imam, which is 4 Imams. I'm sure everyone knows all these 4 Imams, right? All right. Yes, there's a 4 Imams of Islamic jurisprudence or Islamic law, and today we talk about the first one, which is Imam Abu Hanifa. And after thanking Allah, we ask Allah to send salutations and blessing to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam wa alihi wa sahbihi. May Allah guide us to follow his examples, and and then we meet again in the nine salah. Amin ya Rabbal Alamin. All right. So without further ado, let's proceed. So Imam Abu Hanifa. So this is the first Imam, and then the next will be Imam Malik. So I put the birth and the birth and the death as well, which is 80 Hijrah to 150 Hijrah. So it's about 70 years of age. And then Imam Malik is from Medina and then passed away in Medina. And then Imam Shafi'i, Muhammad bin Idris Imam Shafi'i, this is from Gaza, right? So the Gaza is a modern, the Levant area, I would say, with the Palestine now, right? And he passed away in Fustat, which is the modern Egypt today. And then the last one, Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. He was born in Baghdad, 164, and passed away in Baghdad as well, 241. So it's almost like um, the time of 80 Hijrah until 240 Hijrah. So it's in the course of within the Hijrah time is around the time of the Hijrah Rasulullah SAW. So it's about 200 times, 200 years. So what I did, I put it into a table so everyone can see. So I put this table so you can see there's overlap. So Imam Abu Hanifa never met Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal. You can see that, right? So Imam Abu Hanifa, there's actually almost overlap by about 12 years, right? But Imam Hanifa is in Kufa, and then finally he passed away is in Baghdad later on, right? So so we're gonna talk about these 4 Imams, inshallah. So what is the agenda we're gonna talk about today? Bismillah. First of all, just give you a concept of what is exactly Islamic law, Islamic jurisprudence, and I think this is probably in the most like a sort of lay Muslims sometimes, right? They sometimes misinterpret what is this actually Islam. This, if you will, right? There's mazhab, and I'm Maliki, I'm Hanafi, and they think this is a different sect or different religious teachings and so on, and they see they have some animosity toward one sect to another, right? So inshallah, we all this Islamic jurisprudence is just the way or the school of law and how they interpret that. We're gonna talk about that, inshallah, and they're all actually rooted into the Quran, the Sunnah, right? So we're gonna cover that, inshallah. So what is actually the Islamic law, Islamic jurisprudence, and we're gonna talk a little bit about the early life of Imam Abu Hanifa from what is his upbringing at the time. He was born in Kufa, and Kufa was at the time was almost like a metropolitan, right? It was a lot of challenges, a lot of people from different backgrounds, different ethnicity, and different areas, and also at the time there's a Greek philosophers, philosophies, and so on. It involves a lot of change as well. Um, Even at the Muslims as well, there's some people they call themselves Ahlul Hadith, they really stick to the Hadith, and another group of people they are Ahlul Raya. That means they try to do a lot of thinkings and rationals and so on, and so forth. So And then we talk about his personal life stories. I don't know the definitely I cannot do justice because the stories of Imam Hanifa is like quite many. It's quite big stories, so I'll probably pick up 5 or 6 of them, and I think we should be able to benefit. Which is I believe a lot of people say they're Hanafi or something, right? I I've been talking to a lot of people that probably don't know the characters of Imam Abu Hanifa. There's a lot of stories, but the thing is, a great Imam like him, sometimes people come up with exaggerated stories as well. But yes, he's one of the, as Allah bless him with carrying the legacies and the teachings of Islam through his work and his books and so on and so forth. And then last part we talk about his legacy was actually he leaves behind, right? And then at least from my perspective, what I think is quite interesting is about him that I like to label sort of a stick to him that he's part of his legacy. All right, let's start with what is Islamic. Uh, with the common notion first. What is the common notion? Every one of us, all Muslim, here we want to follow our Quran and Sunnah, right? So this is our source of law, and this almost like unanimously. There's no debates and no misunderstanding of that. We know that our source of law is the Quran and Sunnah, right? However, during the time of Rasulullah SAW, right, there are still different opinion. They try to understand what Rasulullah mentions, right? I think there still exists. There's still different opinions. What Rasulullah mentioned here is it this or that, right? Even though of course it's limited. Why is it limited? Because then if they are confused, right, they need to know more details. They just Rasulullah SAW is in the present, so they know they can talk. They can refer to Rasulullah SAW, right? One of the famous story after one of the battles at the time was what Battle of Khandaq, right? At the time, the Medina was surrounded by the Quraysh and then people around the Jazeera as well. So after that ended, Rasulullah was getting ready and he's having still his armor. And Jibril came down and says, now we all the angels will not open our armor yet, and then ask your ummah, ask your people to go to the place of Bani Qurayza, right? So Rasulullah SAW then asked everyone, and then he said to his companions, right? Do not pray Asr until you reach at the village or the town of Bani Qurayza, all right? So that is the message. Do not play Asr unless you arrive there, right? And then when that sort of command or instructions broke out, right? Everyone getting ready, and some people probably their house very far away from Medina or the outskirts of Medina, they probably reach to them is a bit late. So when you reach to them, they're getting ready. So the Asr time is almost finished, right? So they're moving. Okay, some of the first batch they'll probably arrive at Asr time, right? But then some groups of the companions they probably come a little bit later, right? So then while they're still on the way and Asr time almost finished, and then some of the companions says we need to pray Asr, and some other says no, we cannot pray Asr here, right? We have to pray Asr at the place of Bani Quraza. No, but this is the Asr time we finished. Of course, they didn't have watch at that time, but I think you know what I mean, right? So at that time, the companions split, right? They says what one group of companions says we need to pray Asr because Asr Rasulullah told us is on a specific time. We need to do it now, right? Right? And what Rasulullah mentions, do not pray until you reach that. That means be like a hurry up or something like that, right? But the other group says, no, no, this is a special order. We are at war right now, right? This is a special order and so on. So some group, they stop and pray, right? The other group, they continue walking until the Asar pray finish, even Maghrib, and even some of them even Isha. And they'll pray there, right? So it's a two different, right? And then when they come there, and then they see, of course, what did that, or the first thing they did after that is to ask Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah, we had two arguments, right? One is praying there, which one is correct? What do you think, Rasulullah? What's the answer? Which one is correct? And he didn't answer, right? So that is that even at the life of Rasulullah, one one sort of instruction might have different meaning depends on context, and the other group say it's contextual, the other group, so this is a textual. So and again, when they're away, they don't have Rasulullah at the present. They will do what they call as ijtihad. You know, ijtihad means they're thinking. Right? For example, there's a famous story about tayammum. Right? There's a one famous story. I think it was Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu. And the other one, I believe is Ansari. I can't remember Al Ansari. I can't. One of the two companions were. So they were on expedition. They're outside of Makkah, and for some reason they're in the state of janaba, right? So they need to do ghusl. Unfortunately, they don't have water, right? So one companion says, "Well, we don't have water, but Rasulullah taught us tayammum. So I will do ghusl with dirt." So he take off his clothes and then roll over the dirt, and right, because this way he's ijtihad, right? Right? And I believe Umar bin Khattab says, "No, it needs water. You can do dirt and what do you call that? Dirt with for wudu, not for ghusl, right? Because I don't have water, I'll wait until we reach back to Medina, then I'll do my ghusl, right? So because of that, he didn't pray all the while, right? So even there, there's a two different opinion, right? So when they came back, asked Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, I just told them, no, you don't have to. You just can just wipe, right? Then that's actually you do ghusl. So the idea of having dirt, or what's it called that? Sands and sands or dirt or something like that, or dust, right? The idea is not to actually to replace water at all. It's just, right, right. So even for wudu as well as for ghusl, right? So it's not doesn't mean you have to replace it. That's why the first companion is just take off his clothes and roll over the, right? So and again, this what tells us, right? What tells us is scripture might not go into detail in certain things, right? I think the essence here Allah gives us in terms of scripture, in terms of understanding, Allah give us the source, and Allah give us the tool or the faculty to be able to process and come up with the idea. So that's why they have a different way of doing that. That's what later on what we think we will say as a mazhab or a school of law, right? So, but then after Rasulullah SAW passed away, after the demise of Rasulullah SAW, and of course, if they had issues, they need to ask someone. They will ask the scholars at the time, right? They ask our mother Aisha, they ask Abdullah bin Masud, radiallahu anhu, and they also ask Zaid bin Thabit, Ibn Abbas, and so on. They will ask them because Rasulullah was not around. They will ask, right? But that after Rasulullah SAW passed away. But then the thing is, Islam spreading across different lands and different area, where they have to the area of Shams, the Levant, and the Egypt, North Africa, and then also the Persians and so on, right? So they go took the Iraq and the modern time Iraq right now. Now, of course, it will be diverse customs and cultures and circumstances, right? So they might not be able to what they have right now to be able to translate that. And because of that, so they come with different opinions, right? That is the different opinions come as what we call now is a school of law or school of jurisprudence. That's they give birth to madhab, as this madhab is actually the way or the method, right? What is actually the madhab means is actually the way of deriving the law that were not originally spelled out previously. So it's not clear how to do this and how to do that. And of course, the key word here is they're deriving the law, the halal and haram, and so on. It is definitely based on Quran and Sunnah. So there's actually a link with them. Right. So I have some examples, but I'm gonna share here some examples of different why they are different. For example, like the story of the Bani Qurayza, right? So it's a different two opinions. I also gave you an examples about the tayammum, so it's a different two opinions. So even the Rasulullah actually mentions you don't have to do that. There's a couple of you remember the uh, the the hadith that been mentioned when the COVID-19 started, right? If you're in the area where they have epidemic, don't go out, right? You know that hadith, right? That hadith is so popular, but Umar bin Khattab did not know about that hadith. Did not know at all, right? So he actually gathered the companions, and I think Abu Badah bin Jarrah came as a, uh, we are having, at the time, Umar bin Khattab was in Medina. He wanted to visit the army. He was from Bilad Sham, and they came out and says, "Don't come. Well, we are having pandemic, epidemic, right? We have epidemic, and then please come." And at that time, Umar bin Khattab says, "Should I come or should I not come?" Right? So he consulted a number of companions, right? And the companions actually split into two groups as well. But normally, the elder one normally says, "Don't come, right? This is gonna be dangerous for us," and so on. And the other companions, even Abu Ubaidah also, he said the word that is actually quite harsh to Umar bin Khattab. Yeah, Amirul Minin, you're running away from faith, all right? All right. This is the faith, you're running away from faith. And then Umar bin Khattab said, yeah, Abu Ubaidah, seriously, you asked me that question, right? Yeah, I'm running from the takdir of Allah to another takdir of Allah, right? And then they finally decided to go back to Medina. And just before they're getting ready, and Abdul Rahman bin Auf came in. What you guys decided? Oh, didn't you know Rasulullah mentioned this, and then he mentioned that hadith. If you're in a place where they have epidemic, don't go. If you're outside, don't go in. Right. So and again, what tells us, right? One of the things why different opinions. One of them is probably the scholars did not know particular hadith, or they think this hadith was da'if or probably weak and so on, right? So that's why a lot of things, that's why different school of thought. It's not originally four, there's quite a big number, but I think it was sort of canonized, it's sort of in, becoming more and more into four. So that's why the Imam of four. And what is ijtihad and qiyas? They're not the source of the law, they're actually the tool to derive the Islamic law. So that is the essence of Islamic jurisprudence. So it's not actually the school of theology; it's just a school of uh, the law of the Quran and Sunnah to a particular area, particular time and places. Right, different time, different places, a different understanding and different jurisdictions or different jurisprudence. All right. So that give you the understanding, the basic understandings about Islamic jurisprudence. Now let's go to uh, uh, the Imam himself, Imam Hanifa. His real name is Nu'man ibn Thabit ibn Zuta ibn Marzuban, right? And then people know him few names. Some of them call them Imam Al Azam, the greatest Imam. You'll see how and why people call him. I think he didn't call him the greatest Imam for nothing, right? So he's actually one of the very very interesting characters and figure. How he's known for his humility. He's very humble, very very approachable. When I mean approachable, he is approachable, right? He's approachable by the poor, by the rich, by the sinners, by the pious people, and so on. The young and the adult, they're very. He's very approachable, right? Nowadays, if someone really high and scholars and everything, and whenever he walks near the masjid, no smile at all, like, "Oh, this is serious, right?" So this is sometimes what I get from certain places, right? When you like you're scholars or when everyone carrying your bag and and then try to kiss your hands, or probably not. Anyway, he's also known for Siraj uh, Alma, right? The Al Imma, Al Imma, I think. Yeah, yeah. Al Imma, yeah. The lamb of the Imams, right? And of course, he's known for mostly known by Hanifa. Apparently, not many reasons why he doesn't have. Sometimes when people call Abu, there's a two possibilities, right? Either there's a laqab. Laqab means a nickname, like Abu Huraira. Huraira means small cat, right? So, or they are actually called, what's the other one? Is actually a father of, like, for example, um, Rasulullah was called Abu Qasim, right? The father of Qasim, because he has a son by the name of Qasim. Abu Bakr, for example, is a laqab, right? Bakr means something related to camel. So it doesn't mean he's the father of camel, but it's more sort of is a nickname, either nickname or a call of respect because of normally the elder son, right? So Hanifa, he doesn't have a son by the name of Hanifa. I found a story. There's a Hanifa means something related to ink, so like the father of ink. So it's probably his laqab, probably because he's writing and so on. As we talk about, he was born in Kufa, all right, in almost 200 CE, 699 CE, which is 80 Hijrah, so 80 years after the Hijrah. So probably he might have he he probably considered tabi'in, right? That means he met some of the Sahaba, but I think there's no proof whether the elder Sahaba, which is has passed away, is Anas bin Malik. I don't know whether he actually met that. I cannot find the source that he actually met, um, but he could have met if Anas bin Malik radhiyallahu anhu went to Kufa or something. If not, then it's gonna be Tabat Tabi'in, right? Which is the second level. So yeah, yes. He's not an Arab. He's a Persian origin, right? And then his grandfather, which is the name of Zuta, he was believed to be a freed slave during the time, and he embraced Islam during the time of Ali bin Abu Talib. So that's the linkage to it, right? So not many stories about his family, but uh, yes, he was born during the time of Umayyad Caliphate. I actually have I copied from somewhere. It's a political timeline. I'm gonna share this with you. Uh, the infamous or the famous or the infamous Hajjaj ibn Yusuf was the Amir of Iraq at the time. I don't know whether you know Hajjaj ibn Yusuf. He's the one who um, involved in the murder. Well, he was part of um, the he became the governor of Medina at the time, right? And then he wanted to attack Abdullah ibn Zubair, and then Abdullah ibn Zubair died. He because he declared himself as a Khalifa as well as a Caliph, and at that time the Umayyad Caliph is also in um, what's the capital of the Damascus, right? So it's Damascus, and because of the Hajjaj bin Yusuf was ordered to tackle all the rebels, and that was including Abdullah bin Zubair, which is one of the companions. It was the time of Caliph Abdul Malik, right? And also at the time of, excuse me, at the time of Imam Abu Hanifa, the change of the caliphate as well. So Abbasid Caliphate also take control in 132 Hijrah. So what is Kufa? Kufa, obviously, you know the story is about Kufa, right? So, but let's not. Let's just go to Kufa. Kufa is like a place of it's like a metropolitan, right? It's a big cities and everyone come from different places and at the time, as I mentioned, the emergence of the Ahli Lorai, the people who are doing more of reasoning because some of the reasons why they have these people to do that because there's so many fabricated hadith. At the time, there's so many fabricated hadith. And I know why. You know the reason why people fabricate hadith, right? Either for political gain or either for fame and so on. Right. So, for example, I don't know whether I don't know whether you heard before. What is the language of what is the language of Jannah? Do you know? Have you heard that before? Right. So there was a hadith says uh, I like Arabs because I am Arabs. I speak Arabic. The Quran is in Arabic, and will be the language of Jannah or something like that. But there's actually a fabricated hadith, right? At the time because the Persian people they speak Farsi, right? So they say the people of Farsi they don't have that language. More sort of racism and so on. And like if you don't like your political opponent and then you fabricated a hadith, Rasulullah SAW mentioned if you meet A from the city of B from the tribe of C, kill him or something like that, right? So this is what people do, right? Kill someone by this name, by this region. They make it as a hadith. So because of that, so many fabricated hadith. So people have to be very careful when they try to derive the law or jurisprudence because then they don't want to. And at the time, the philosophy is almost everywhere as well. So the scholars felt there's a need to be able to respond to these people on different ways of thinking. So today, when you caught me today, I was in the masjid, but I was reading some of the philosophies as well. Yeah, we talk about that later. Of course, the different religions, Christians as well at the Kufa. There's other, especially the time the at that time was the person was originally the Zoroastrian, right? So there's still people on that. And then of course science started to develop more and more. So this is what Kufa. And if you see from, for example, Imam Malik stay in Medina, right? And then who people in Medina? They're mostly the children of the companions, the children of the Sahaba. So there are not many sort of dynamic is different. The people in Kufa, the dynamic is completely different, right? Where do you think the movement, the political movement of Shia, right, is near Karbala, right? It's very near. A lot of things where Hussein radiallahu anhu was assassinated and is actually murdered, right? Is actually in near Kufa as well, which is the Karbala. So it's a lot of things happening, and it was just a few years before that. All right, who's Imam Abu Hanifa? He's considered to be a very successful businessman. This is one of the things I actually put this one uh, I think something that worth noting, which is the legacy of Imam Abu Hanifa. What you feel called? Right? And then what is khas? Khas is silk clothing material. So Imam Abu Hanifa actually is a very skillful in making silk clothing, right? So he knows that very known how to make this, how to make this clothing. He actually sells this. Apparently, at the time, it's probably a good business, right? So it was a very good business, and he started young with his father, right? And he's known for very ethical businessman. For example, if someone came to him, I want to sell this product, right? And I says, it was actually a very good product, and that lady probably asked for 200 dirham. And I said, no, more. Now, are you serious? Are you making fun of me? I'm selling this to you. No, no, it could be more than 200, 300 more. I said, "Oh, what do you mean more? 400 more. Are you making fun? If you don't believe me, ask someone else, right? So the lady went in and said, I want to sell this to you. How much you want to sell? How much you want to buy for this? And the guy says 500 dirham, right? So this is the level of Imam Abu Hanifa. One of the things as well that is very unique. I don't know whether still applicable, right? They're almost not applicable. He never promote or he never talk. What's the right word of that? He never talk good about his products. So if you like it, you buy. If you don't like it, right. So this is how he sells. It's not like, oh, this is good. This is like, the last product. You're never gonna get this again. He never talks like that, right? He never talk. This is one of these ethics, right? So he doesn't. Is promote? Is it the right word? He doesn't promote. He doesn't talk good about his own product, right? He's upsell and so on, right? So he doesn't do that. So one day, I think he was with his son by the name of Hamad, right? His son was one of his staffs. I think between the two. So he was there, right? He was supervising his staff and or his son, and then someone came to his shop and says, "I want to buy that cloth," right? And before he took that cloth, he say, "Allahumma salli ala Muhammad." It's like just doing right, but then when Imam Abu Hanifa heard that, he said, "Stop! You cannot buy this product." What? What do you do? No, my son just say salawat. Yeah, what's wrong with her? No. Because this is like hinting, oh, this is a good product. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Right? Just because of hinting it is a good product, right? And he canceled the sales. I'm not selling this to you, right? So this is the sort of ethics and how he sells it. And then he's known for wearing nice clothes. right? Not only that, he's actually, this is quite interesting, right? He's actually not only that, his students, he buys clothes for his students, right? And and then he actually, when he passed away, he's actually very successful, very successful businessman. So he's actually, he does not live out of people, what do you call, he doesn't make halakah to get money, all right? Or he doesn't sell that. He's actually, he has his own business, right? So this is what makes him different, right? Most people that we know, they really depend on. And for example, later on, we can tell a story that he was going to be appointed as a qadi, as a chief judge, and he refused. Right? Why is that? Because he wants independence, right? It's very hard to say something against the government if your paycheck comes from them, right? If your family, if the food on the table actually provided by the person who pays you, right? It's very hard to put a fatwa against them, right? So that's when you lose your sort of independence, if you will. So that's why he doesn't do that, and then that's why he's well off, right? And this is kind of very difficult, right? Why being rich, or probably rich is not the right word, right? Being successful businessman makes a difference, right? Why it makes a difference? Number one, at least number one, right? You know, if you only stay in the campus or stay in the masjid, you give advice and you give fatwa and everything, right? You don't actually, you're not a practitioner, right? It's easy to say people how you do make sabar and patience and everything, but it's hard when you do a business and you don't get money this year, this month, and you have to struggle how to conduct business properly, how to conduct business ethically, how to conduct business making sure halal and haram. It's very hard to do that, right? It's not easy, right? Easy to give fatwa, but if you actually practitioner, this makes a lot different, right? So that's why he what do you call, like a talk the talk, walk the walk, right? So that's why I like about this, share about this Imam, because he's actually, not only he's very well off, he's actually sponsoring his students to dress nicely as well, right? So it's not, he didn't get paid by the students, he's actually paying his student, right? So that is so he later on passed away in Baghdad at the age of 69 or 70. At the time, the Caliph was the Caliph of Abbasid, right? I think Ja'far Abu Ja'far al Mansur, and he was in prison. And then when he passed away, recently, Sheikh, what's his name? Yusuf Qaradawi just passed away, right? So when he passed away, there was six funeral services and attended almost to like 50,000. So it's a huge, it's a big loss to the Ummah, right? So yes, I just have a quick note on that. One of the things that he did when he became, but the things about ethical. So one of the things that he did, right? Every time he sells something, he makes sure that he tells the defect of the product, right? So for example, give you an example in Indonesia, if you sell your house, one thing that you normally tell people whether there's a history of flooding near your house, right? Especially if you live in Jakarta. This is something that you always, so if you want to sell a house, you say daerah bebas banjir or free flooding area, then almost guaranteed your house will sell fast, right? So this is, so one day one of his product, right, is a small defect, right? Is a small defect or something. And then before he left, he asked his staff, okay, when you sell this product, make sure you tell them, right, that's a left defect. There's a defect in here. Make sure, right? So he left. When he came back, and he found the fabric was not there, and he asked, "Did you sell it?" Yes. Did you tell them? Oh, I forgot. Okay, that's it. Whatever the revenue, whatever the sales on the day, he just give it away. He just, you know, donate it. He just, whatever he did, just throw it away, right? We just, this is how he really, and the thing is, right, if you, this is one of the things that I find it, um, when you do things like that, right, is actually, you don't actually get poor because of that, right? It's actually more business and so on. if you heard the stories of Rasulullah SAW doing the trading and everything as well. Anyway, yep. So, okay, what is the other story? So we already have one also. Okay. One of the interesting stories about his family is, I don't know whether you heard this before, about his father. So this if before Imam Abu Hanifa was born. So his father is Thabit. So he was walking, right, and he was probably thirsty and hungry and whatnot, and then he saw fruit hanging outside of the garden, right? So he was hungry, probably something. He picked up the fruit and he ate it. After he ate it, oh, I have not asked the owner yet, right? Oh, this is horrible. I did this and so on, right? So because of that, he felt guilty about it, right? And then he found the owner of the house, the owner of the garden, knock on the door. I'm sorry, uncle. Oh, I'm sorry, uncle. I'm sorry, sir. I have taken your fruit without your permission, and I want to apologize. I want to repay and so on, right? And what did the owner say? All right, I tell you what, right? You heard this before? You can, I'll forgive you in one condition: marry my daughter. All right. And it's, wow, it's a good deal. That's pretty awesome, right? It's a big garden and so on, right? And then he was like happy, oh, yeah, I'm gonna marry you. So, and then say, but there's one problem. Okay, my daughter is mute. My daughter is deaf and blind. And then and then suddenly he got shocked, right? So it's not a good deal after all. and then and then he says, if that's the only way you can forgive me, I'll take that. Right. So you can see this is how he's he was mute, deaf, and he finally agreed, right? So they did the nikah and so on and whatnot. And then on the first night, knock on the door, he says, Assalamu alaikum. And he just probably head down, and the lady says, Wa alaikum salam. Well, you can hear me? Yes, I am deaf from what Allah has forbid me to hear. I'm also mute from what Allah has not allowed me to speak. And I'm blind for what Allah has told me not to see. Right. So it's actually perfectly normal. So even some other narrations, this is actually quite pretty as well. Right. So that is the story of the father of Imam Abu Hanifa, and then that's why this is when you start a life, you start when before you start the family even before you get married, right? So when you become a pious and stuff like that, so everyone's already married here, so right. So I did a quick. I don't know. Can you see this clearly? I don't know whether you can actually see this. Can you see that? Huh? Too small, right? Yeah. So this is the birth of Imam Abu Hanifa, and you see that 93 Hijrah, the birth of Imam Malik, right? So this is all the Caliph of the Umayyad, right? So change here from Walid, Sulaiman. This is the famous one, Umar bin Ab- Abdulaziz, right? There's only 2 years. The Yazid, and then there was the rebellions and the revolt, and finally the Abbasid rule came into power. That is in 132, and then and then it was the time of Al Mansur here, which is the Caliph from Abbasid rule. He was actually imprisoned, and Imam Abu Hanifa actually prisoned the second time, right? He was prisoned the first time for rejecting to be, and he's going to be appointed as a minister, and he doesn't want to be a minister. He got prison, all right. And the second time it was something to do with the with I think one of the fatwa or something, I can't remember, that he was actually imprisoned and tortured, and then finally he died in the prison. All right. Okay. So I don't know whether I should have changed this is tells you. This is Abdullah bin Masud, Ali, and Abu Musa al Ashari. So this is the companions of the Prophet, and this is the Tabi'in. So this is the not the lineage. Is actually who teaches who. So this group, four group, right? The Surais, Masruk, and they're all the students of these three. So all the students, and this Imam Abu Hanifa, and you can see this is the his teacher is Hamad, right? And I'm gonna share a little bit later on about the love between the parent and teacher of Imam Abu Hanifa and his teacher Hamad. He loved him so much, right? He has only one son, and guess what he named his son? Hamad. So, and this is because there's a very very good relationship with the parent and teacher. So I just tells you that, for example, this one of the one of the students of Imam Abu Hanifa by the name of Abu Yusuf, he's actually the teacher of Imam Hanbal, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal. So they're all actually teachers to one another. Anyway, so that is the family and the biodata. So let's talk about some of the stories. So we only have 30 minutes left. No, 20 minutes left. So, oh, not that one. Sorry. So, so one of the stories is, of course, he was brought up in the pious family. His father died when he was teenager, so he took over the business. And one of the things is very well known from Imam Abu Hanifa, that always, every time he's from his shops or from whatever he worked, he always came home and took his mother to the masjid, right? And which is quite ironic, right? Because in the Madhab Hanafi, right, the women are actually discouraged or not encouraged to go to masjid, right? But interestingly, Imam Abu Hanafi actually always took time to go home and take his mother to go to masjid. So one story which is interesting is his mother one day refused to go to the masjid because she found that there's a stain of blood in her cloth. So Imam Abu Hanifa knew about this. No, this is all right. You can go to masjid. It's not gonna be haram or so on and so forth. It's okay. Just go. No, no, no. I need to find out that this is gonna be whether my salah is gonna be valid or not. Right? So Imam Abu Hanifa already advised, but his mom didn't want to listen to him, and she said, "I better ask scholar." Right? So, okay, I'll find the scholars. And he found a man by the name of Umar ibn Abu Dar, if I'm not mistaken. And but just coincidentally, this guy, this Umar guy, is actually the student of Imam Abu Hanifa, right? So she went out and find that I have this blood stain in my. So will that be okay if I go to? Will not invalidate my prayers? Let me ask first. And I asked, your mom asked me about this, and then you know what Imam Abu Hanifa said? Tell her it's okay, but please don't tell her that I told you the answer, right? So this is to show respect to the mother, right? So and again, it shows the humility, and this is one of the things. If is Allah who's really bless you with the knowledge, right? The higher you become in your status in the eyes of Allah in terms of knowledge, and so, the more popular you become, is actually the more humble most people, and you will find that that the Abu Hanifa is one of these people who are actually very humble and so on. So yeah, the guy is Abu Hanifa student. Right. And again, this is I want to raise this because this is again this I think one of the pinnacle of someone who's really at the highest in terms of knowledge. There's one time he made a comment about Hassan al Basri when at the time there's a two Iraqain. Iraqain means two big cities in Iraq. One is Kufa, one is Basra. Right. So there's one famous ulama there's by the name of Hassan al Basri. He made a comment. He was probably in the masjid or in the halaqah. He made a comment that Hassan al Basri quoted this thing wrongly or something, and someone stood up and cursed Imam Abu Hanifa and cursed him and say all the bad words and everything. Imam Abu Hanifa just kept it quiet, and then and I think after everyone gone, and then he says, well, it's not, I didn't say that, it's actually he interrupted my words. I was going to say that Hassan Basri was wrong because it was Abdullah ibn Masud himself say the opposite of that, right? So who's Abdullah ibn Masud is a companion, right? So and this is again so the humility um, of Abu Hanifa. There are so many similar stories, and yes, one of the things I to dua. He made a dua. Now, uh, to for example, he made dua to his parents and his students and so on. But he also made special dua for people who hate him. Right? You know what his dua, right? His dua is very. I actually put that note. It's a very good dua. Ya Allah, make my hearts open to those who close their hearts to me, right? And what does it mean? It's like, Ya Allah, don't let me feel the grunt for them hating me, right? So you remember this one hadith that Rasulullah mentions, the guy who just gonna walk into this masjid is people of Jannah, a person of Jannah, and people, and then everyone was wondering what he did and everything, right? And he went to his house, he didn't find anything, nothing special, and asked, "What did you do?" Rasulullah mentions you a person of Jannah. Oh, before I go to bed every night, I forgive everyone. So this kind of thing, right? This is like this dua is along that line. So don't make me feel glum to people who hate me, right? So and again, this is a beautiful dua, Subhanallah, right? And remember, this is a person of Jannah who always forgive people every night. Many similar stories about that. I just don't want to quote that one. Just let's move on. He had one neighbor. This is very interesting as well. He had one neighbor, and this neighbor is a drunk neighbor, right? So he's drunk, and one of the things that it probably, I don't know, I have, should I say it in here, or probably they will not know. Sometimes I get annoyed with my neighbor as well. This sometimes one, not every day, not every night, but sometimes once in a while there's so loud music. The thing is with the loud music, right? With the thump thump thump, right? Is even though it's small, but it's annoying, right? If you go to bed, it's, right? So I can imagine at the time it was probably something like that. Like I saw this guy was drunk every night. He sort of say some things, and one of the things that he say, "Oh Allah, why you left me?" or something like that, right? So and then Imam Abu Hanifa heard that every night these guys came and drunk and singing song and reciting poetry or something. Allah, why you left me? Or so someone left me, something like that, something along that line. So one day, no noise, right? So nothing happened. The following night, nothing happens, and then he didn't hear. So and then he was wondering what happened. He knocked on the door, nothing happened. Apparently, this person was very, very bad. He had involved in loans and so on. So probably he have debt is huge, and because of that, people reported him, and he was in prison, right? And then Imam Abu Hanifa asked how much his loan is about 85,000 dirhams. I don't know. It's probably a couple of 100,000 or something in Hong Kong dollar time. And Abu Hanifa actually bailed him out. Bailed him out. So he's fine, right? He's loaded, right? He's got some money, right? So you know why he did that? So when the guy was released, and he asked, "Did we leave you behind?" So answering to you, Allah, why you leave you, right? So Allah never leave you, right? So did we leave you behind? And the guy actually became one of his students of Abu Hanifa, right? And so another story is about this is the story about his teacher, Hamad ibn Sulaiman. He respected his teachers like immensely, right? He became inspired to become a teacher because him. and he comes every day and did the house chores and milk the goat and swept the house and so on, right? Ahmad at the time said, Abu Hanifa, you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. I kept continuing doing it. This is part of our respect. Um, and then he learned with his teachers for 10 years until he passed away. And then Imam Abu Hanifa always include his prayer every time. I never, after he passed away, I never say anything prayer. After that, when I ask forgiveness to my parents, I include forgiveness to his teacher. So, and even he named his son Hamad as well. Uh, and of course, Hamad also he was the beloved student of Hamad, and the quite interesting is one day Hamad will need to go outside of Kufa because one of the relative passed away, right? And then he was 2 3 days over there, and every night he cried. And everyone said, "Why you cry? The guy, your relative already passed away." And I said, "No, I cry because I miss Abu Hanifa." Right? He cry of missing someone that he's going to meet another 1 or 2 days, right? But when his relative passed away, he didn't. Right? Anyway, this is the relationship that they have is just amazing. All right. Stories. Oh, he's known for his intelligence. Uh, Even people asking him silly questions, like for example, if I do ghusl, right, in the river, someone asks, "Do I need to face Qibla?" And then he answers, "I'd rather face the directions of my clothes, so just in case someone will not steal it." Right. Um, he has dialogues with the Christians, and one of the things he says, Al Quran always mentions about afala takulun. It's all Allah praise people who always want to use the intellect, right? But I have read your scriptures or your Bible. I've never seen anything like that. So he shows him that he understands as well. I think he must have done what do you call that, interfaith dialogue as well, right? And then he also had dialogues with the atheists as well. I don't know whether you heard this story, right? So they announced to Kufa there's gonna be a dialogue with the atheists who doesn't believe in God, right? So everyone was getting ready, and then he actually came very, 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 very late. He came very late, and everyone was just asking, "Why are you afraid? Or are you memorizing your arguments and so on?" And then he says, "Okay, I'm sorry I was late because when I came here, I there was a river, it's a huge river. So I waited and I waited, and I saw the tree came down and become a raft, and then from the river, nails comes and then suddenly go into the here, so it become a boat." And then I waited. The boat suddenly moved with the sail and crossed the water. That's why I came late. And the guy who's atheist says, "Are you expect us to believe this, right? How come there's nothing can be created like that?" And then Subhanallah, and you ask me to believe this was created thing, right? So known for that intelligent dialogues as well. I have a few. As I don't know whether this is also one of the probably famous stories as well, like someone asking odd question, who was there before Allah, where is Allah facing now, and what is Allah doing now, right? So someone asked this question, and Abu Hanifa at the time was still young, right? You know how he answered it? For first questions, what is the first question? Who was there before Allah? Can you count down from 10 to 1? And then 9, 9, 8, 7, and so on until 1. What's after 1? Nothing. So there's nothing after Allah. Okay. Where is Allah facing now? Okay. Okay. It's like in a sample like a candle, right? So the candle, like the nur, Allahu nur samawati wal Allah is the nur of samawat, the universe, right? So that means, can you see the candle? Where is it facing? No, it's just across all directions, right? Okay, and then the third one, what is Allah doing now? Okay, let me do this, right? He was young at the time, so he piled up some box or something. He just stood up very high. Let me so high, so the guy is actually low behind it. Okay, what is the question again? What is Allah doing now there? Allah is now humiliating someone who's dumb like you and honoring someone who like me. That's what Allah. So yeah, this is the another dialogue here is with the Khawarij. You know, the Khawarij, they dishonor the companions like Uthman bin Affan. They uh, they what do you call, they accuse of Uthman bin Affan being Jews and stuff like that. So one day Abu Hanifa came to this guy. This guy is just known to be Khawarij, right? And he says, "I'm coming here to propose to you the hand of marriage for your daughter. Uh, I have a guy, my student. He's very pious. He is, and everything is good, right? Okay, that's like, unfortunately, he's Jews. No, what you want me to marry my daughter to the Jews? Well, Rasulullah SAW married his two daughters to the Jews as well. It means Uthman bin Affan. So this kind of logic questions that make people and that this Khawarij was was you know was actually got caught by that sort of narrations and questions. Another one. This is interesting one. I think probably this is the last one. One of the things is quite rampant at the time was there's a lot of checkpoints. You know, Khawarij, right? If they don't, Khawarij is like the group of people. If they don't, they have their own interpretations of Quran and Sunnah, right? If they're not the same wavelength with you, they will call you kafir, and your blood is halal, right? So this is sounds familiar, right? Right? If you don't have the same thinking with me, you're kafir, and then if you're kafir, I can your blood is halal. So they have around outside the city they have checkpoints, right? So they ask people who are not Khawaris, they don't have the same thinking, they will prison them, then they'll kill them and whatnot. So one day, Abu Hanifa was with his students, and then there was a checkpoint. He was stopped, and then his students were worried to death. What we gonna do here, right? So then, sorry, where is it? Then Imam Abu Hanifa says, "Don't worry, let me handle this." So the guy came in, right, and apparently he recognized him as Imam Abu Hanifa, and he says, Abu Hanifa says to him, right, "I am a kafir, right? Please read me Surat Tawbah, verse number 6. Wa in ahadim minal musrikin as uh, too small, and if anyone from the kafir asks you for your protections, or prophet, grant it to them so they may hear the word of Allah, then escort them to the place of safety, right? So I'm a kafir, please escort me to the place of safety, right? So this is how he deals that. Of course, these people they don't understand the Quran and so on, but when they read Surah Tawbah, so because I'm a kafir, according to your Quran, right, I should be escorted to the safe place, right? So that is the stories. But last, probably this is the last one. Uh, there was the Caliph Al Mansur offered him the position of the chief judge, and Abu Hanifa declined. Right, and again, why he declined it? He doesn't want to get money from someone who probably that he need to raise fatwa against, right? So Al Mansur says, Abu Hanifa declined it. I'm not fit for it. I'm not a good person, and so on. Abu Hanifa says, "Oh, what are you lying?" Right? And Abu Hanifa says, I wrote down, so, if I'm a liar, right? Why you chose me to become your chief judge, right? And because of that, he was locked up and tortured in prison. So and then this is the one of the stories about, I think it's a couple of stories, 6 or 7 stories about Imam Abu Hanifa, uh, rahimahullah. So that is the personal life stories. Oh, sorry, what did I do? So last point is legacy. What is the legacy I want to share? Number one, started the pious family as early possible. So even before you get married, right? But everyone's already married here. May Allah help us. All right. one of the things that I want to quote is he self-supported his own life, so he doesn't rely on money from government or from what do you call the council or something like that, right? So he actually self-support himself. Not only he self-support, but he also even pay his own students as well, right? So this is how he said he has. So that is one of them. What is good things? Two things. Number one, maintain independency, right? It's very hard for you to say no to someone who put the food on the table, right? And what's the second one is walk the walk. So that means not only I give you fatwa and I advise you and how to do business, I actually do business myself as well. So I know how to deal with people, how to deal with loans and how to deal and so on. So, and the last one is he has a brilliant mind and knows in debate, right? So probably like a speaker corners or something like that. So and street da'wah and so on. So and he's known for very intelligent and he talked to people around whatever the time of the Kufa, talk to the Christians, talk to the philosophers and so on. So he is one of the persons who uh, actually talk the talk and walk the walk, and talk to the group of people and they have his knowledge and to actually become one of the greatest ulama that we Muslim ever had. One of them. So I think that's all I wanna share with you tonight. So exactly 1 hour. Jazakumullah khair. Should I ask whether people will ask questions? No. Okay. All right then. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.